Hello again, this is Jason Oliver out here at the Lake of the Ozarks in Stover, Missouri, United States of America, and we're here to answer that question: how many solar panels does it take to run my house? This is the off-grid, or the hybrid if you want. Let's just call it off-grid, part 2. Thanks for joining us again. So the question really is how many panels do I need to run my house? Well, when you're off-grid, it's really not about the panels. The panels are going to charge up your batteries, and so it's really about your batteries. So we'd be more apt to ask the question, how many batteries does it take to run my house? And then the next would be that it would take a lot, and if that was something that you're seriously interested in doing, then you probably wouldn't be watching this video. I imagine the folks watching this video are the type of folks who want to run some things, maybe as a battery backup, and just kind of want to know, like, how do I run my house when the power goes out? Well, the answer is you don't really run your house, or if you're off the grid, or you run certain types of things, and things that you want to consider would be like a chest freezer would be an important thing to run, keep all your goods frozen. You might want to be able to run a few more things, maybe some internet and your phone, and all that stuff is being run off this system right here that you're looking at right now. But we actually are looking at two different systems. We're looking at a 48 volt and a 12 volt system. The stuff on the very bottom of this screen here is 12 volt. The stuff at the very top is 48 volt. So I've done a little research and development over the years, and I started off with 12 volts, and I even have some batteries down here. And here's my distilled water, because I check all the time. And right here, I'm actually charging 12 volts off the 48 volt inverter here to charge a 12 volt battery. But that's a whole different story. I don't have a solar panel hooked up to my 12 volts right now. It's actually charging a golf cart right now, and so I just kind of moved it over. There was nothing running off of this system, so. But we sold a boat and we needed a battery, so I wanted to make sure things were charged up, so we did that. So I digress. On the top, you have a 48 volt system, and I want to talk a little bit about how we run our 48 volt system. I've got 1,000 watts of panels on this system, and up here I have it is a Windy Nation Trax Max 30L. And there's a few reasons why I recommend this. It does 12 volts, 24 volts, 48 volts, and it's also accepts high voltage panels, so it'll go up to like 150 volts. So I could put a lot of my panels in series and run high voltages, which means the wires are small. So please take note the size of the wire coming out the bottom of this controller. It's a strand of 10, and because it's 48 volts, I can use a strand of 10, whereas when I'm over here at the 12 volt system, I have a number 4 battery cable, which is a lot more expensive, and I can't run it very far. I can run it a very short distance here, but this I can run all the way out here, and this is my 48 volt battery supply as I use my golf cart. So there's my batteries in my golf cart, and I have a connector here, and I use a set of the MC4 connectors, and it literally runs in here. Ties to my inverter and to my charge controller, and this stuff runs outside to the solar panels. So the solar panels are outside, and those are also using stranded 10 because I'm running at 150 volts. So how much am I running off of this? Well, right now I'm running my internet, which we're using right here, the phone. I run my wireless router. I run my wireless monitoring system for my solar array. Just a little while ago, I was running that squirrel cage fan out there, which I picked up from a thrift store today, and I got working, so I ran that off of this. I run my PA system and my stereo equipment off this stuff. And in a pinch, if the power were to go out, what I would do is I would keep my internet running, and then I would switch a freezer over to this. So I'd keep a chest freezer running, and this will keep a chest freezer running as long as you got daylight, indefinitely. But I think with very few interruptions. And there's quite a few amp hours in these battery banks with golf carts. I've been using golf cart battery banks for quite some time. One of my first battery banks was a set of golf cart batteries, and I wired that in series I'm sorry, I wired it in parallel for 12 volts. So I had six, well, it was a little bit more difficult than that. I had six 6-volt batteries. So it was 2 in series to make 12 volts, and then I ran 3 in parallel to maintain the 12 volts, and I used all 6 batteries. And you know, and that's nice and everything, but if I'm not using that, then once I charge it fully, then I'm not using it. This way, when I use my golf cart, you can see I've put a golf cart on the top, a panel on the top of the golf cart also. When I charge these batteries, when I leave, and when we're out here where I live, we don't always drive our cars. We drive golf carts. So when I leave, I just unplug the house and I drive away. And I generally have a fully charged cart all the time because it's on 1,000 watts, a solar array. And I drive it around when I come home. I'll plug it back in, and my house cranks back up again. And so then I'm always fully utilizing my off-grid assembly here. But I wanted to answer the question: how many solar panels does it take to run my house? Well, I tell you, the answer really is, if you're off-grid, you're not really going to run your house, but you might want to make a plan of some things that you do want to run, and a way that you can maintain the batteries so you have the readiness when you need it. Or if you're completely off-grid, what's an easy way or a good way to maintain batteries, and what can I run with those batteries? So just with this golf cart, I run quite a bit. You know, aside from like an oven or like an air conditioning unit, although I could run an air conditioning unit off the system, it wouldn't last very long. You know, I might run it maybe a day or so, but it would wipe the batteries out, and then it would take days to charge back up again. So the goal really is to maintain a high level of charge in your batteries at all time, and utilize that electricity while you're using it. You know, either through transportation, which eliminates gasoline, and that's the reason why we do that. You know, or by taking a system at your home and making it off-grid, such as all of our electronics. So we chose our electronics because it's consistent. It's always on. It's always the same amount of wattage. It's a constant phantom draw. So we put that off to the off-grid system, and then I have a grid-tied system that backs up the rest of the house. So our goal really is to hit a 0 every day, and we get darn close. When we have sunny days and such, you know, we do really well, and we'll offload a lot of our even our cooking. My cook stove, which I forgot to mention, is run off of this. And I tell you what, I'm going to do this real quick. I'm just going to make a little plug right here. Mr. Induction cook stoves are excellent. This is a 1300 unit, and what's nice about this is it's efficient. For within 300 to 500 watts, I can prepare just about any meal I want. I can even cook a turkey on this thing. I use a Lodge double Dutch oven, cast iron, and you can use the lid. It doubles as a frying pan, and I can cook everything from rice to turkeys to just whatever, everything. Once you go to a induction stove, you will not go back. And an induction stove, what it does is it heats up just the metal. And it doesn't get hot, you can touch it and everything, but it heats up just the metal, and they're very efficient. And I cook off of this power inverter right here, which is only, I want to say it's 600 watts. This is only a 600 watt power inverter, and we cook on it all the time, off the golf cart battery. So, you know, you can cook, you can keep your things cold, you can get transportation, you can run all your electronics. Yeah, it can be done, but you're not going to run your side-by-side fridge, folks. Just throw those things away. You know, get an ice maker. Get yourself a chest freezer and a small dorm fridge, and you'll be much happier. And you don't have all that stuff in the fridge you have to clean out all the time. Okay, so just a quick run through. We've got a 30 amp 48 volt controller. We have a 48 volt inverter, and this box right here is what runs the house, and those are circuits inside my house. And down here we have a 12 volt system, which is a controller on the bottom and the meter on top. What's nice about the Windy Nation, the meter comes with it. Here I had to buy the meter separate. So for what it costs for this, just get this. It's bigger, it's better. This is 30 amps. This right here, I think it's 10 or 20 amps. And of course, you know, you have your Xantrex sine wave inverter. Everything's always sine wave, folks. So and make sure that everything's also grounded properly. I have our proper grounds here. We're using a number 6 ground wire. And this container that we're in is actually grounded, has its own grounding rod. So always make sure you're grounded, guys. Play it safe. Thanks for checking us out. Subscribe to our channel. And remember, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. Go solar, go today. Bye.